Thanks, Sue. I'm here with my friend Nick Puinti. Nick, how are you?
Good.
To see you.
You too, right?
At Sibley Gardens in Trenton. And if you're not familiar with Sibley Gardens, you definitely should be, especially if you live downriver. This is definitely one of probably the biggest hotspots downriver. Most premier, delicious eateries throughout the entire region. And it's a blast to come here and to be here and to taste the food and to sit down with Nick, who's a phenomenal downriver entrepreneur. So Nick, it's great to be here with you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for recognizing us. Should have told me there's a dress code. I would have had my golf shirt on. I would have pulled the suit out.
Well, I think Sue and John know that this is typically how I dress. So yeah, I don't know, something about making your guest uncomfortable that just adds even more, I guess, like a special aspect to the podcast. So I don't know.
But, you look like $1 million. That's all I know.
But it's good to be here with you, Nick. Thanks for having us. So food is so much more than just a meal. Food brings us all together. From bridesmaids parties and birthdays to business meetings and anniversaries, dining out just seems to find its way into every good part of our lives. I know, Nick, you would agree with that. All these great memories deserve good food, don't they? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we've been lucky, blessed with our clientele that been coming for years and years and years, and the biggest compliment probably we received is I've never had a bad meal in 40 years, and that's pretty good bad.
That's
average.
a pretty darn good compliment.
Yeah.
And so that's where Sibley Gardens comes in, is the phenomenal atmosphere and the food that you provide to your patrons here, not just the downriver region, but throughout all of Metro Detroit.
Yeah, we've got a lot of recognition in the last few years, which is great because my dad and grandmother took this restaurant over again in 1961. So for 61 years, we've been we've been here forever, and it's easy to take restaurant business for granted after all these years. But we've gotten some this great recognition like throughout the state, not just for the downriver area.
Absolutely, and you mentioned 1961. So my understanding is that the restaurant has been here since 1935, but it's been in different locations.
Right. Yeah. Originally, it was across the street in 35. My grandfather took it over in 1944. Then the steel mill, McCall Steel, was kind of creeping in. He could see that he was going to be running out of land and was leasing that building. So he built this building in 1949 across the street. We got the railroad tracks behind us. Not the not the prettiest location, but I think people are really surprised when they drive down here and come inside. And it's like, wow.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned locations, maybe not the most attractive location, but the building itself is gorgeous when you come in here. And can you talk a little bit about what the inspiration was behind the design of this building?
Well, pretty much my dad's wife Pam. She's kind of been in charge of pretty much the total look of the restaurant from room to room, and my dad has some input. We have a little bit, but pretty much that's her. That's what she excels in, and that's her input in the restaurant. And some people will think, oh, it looks like the 60s. It's like, well, it's not the 60s. We've had so many redecorations throughout the years, but the oak panels in the bar area, and we have a room called the Oak Room, but that's always been updated with the booths being the same look of the booths, but you've got to upgrade the booths. We've got new tables and chairs, new canopy over the bar, new wall coverings, and so people say if it's not changed, well, yeah, it's changed with the new wall coverings in the front, new flooring, new carpeting. So we always. We haven't made a drastic change in the restaurant. Sometimes you go to a restaurant, and this restaurant in Birmingham I went from dark to really light.
Okay,
and I think you would have to make a really dramatic change for people to think that you've remodeled.
Right.
But we kind of our customers have been coming here forever, and they really don't want a huge change.
Right.
So we want to keep the same vibe.
The same vibe,
the same quality look. And it's
but
warm.
when you I know you said that the restaurant has been refurbished over the years and obviously well maintained, but when you walk into Sibley Gardens, it's like, to me, I feel like I'm walking back in time into even like the 1920s era, and I that's one of my favorite parts of the Sibley Gardens experience is it truly brings you back to an era where it seems to me very special, and one of the great things that I think about this venue.
Yeah, we try to make it comfortable, classic, but also inviting, and it's actually one of the quieter restaurants. Especially the bar area with the bar in the middle of the room, you'd think it'd be noisy, but because the ceilings aren't super high and we don't have a lot of hard surfaces in the bar area. The dining room can get a little louder if you've got large parties in there, but we can't control how loud people talk. But well, we can if it's out of hand. But it's one person that came in here the first time, came in with a friend of mine from out of town from South Carolina. He said, "Boy, it's so quiet. You can hear yourself talk. You don't have to yell across the table."
Right.
And it's just good. A lot of our customers, as they get older, they're hearing. Even me, sometimes I'm like, "What?"
Right. So, Nick, we'll talk a little bit about some of the signature items and what's on the menu and things like that in a moment. But I think most people downriver are familiar with Sibley Gardens, and if they haven't been here, they've been by the building, they've heard of the great reputation and the wonderful food. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Sibley Gardens, because there is a long history. And we did mention a couple of obviously a little bit of the background of the locations, but I want to focus on your family for a moment. And Sam Puinti is your father. Is Sam the one that opened the restaurant originally, or was there somebody before Sam?
Well, my grandfather, Sam. There was two Sams.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he was the first Sam that built this restaurant in '44. But my dad and my grandmother, Mary, they took over this restaurant in '61. They still own the building, but decided to give it a go in 1961. And at the time, business, it wasn't a hopping business at all, but they really got it going, especially with the lunch business. Now it's totally switched. Most of our business is after 4 o'clock. We're still open for lunch for the people that come in, but it's more just getting ready for nighttime. But the menu, a good portion of the menu is still my grandmother's recipes.
Oh wow, yeah.
And
I love the French onion soup. It's phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
There's so many other things here as well.
It looks really good. Coming a lot of cheese. If you like cheese, there you go.
So I believe is Jake Faulkner is leading the 4th generation of the Puinti family members who work here at Sibley Gardens. Is Jake your son?
No, he's my nephew.
He's your nephew. Okay.
He's 6'4". I couldn't
I know.
I couldn't make one of those.
I see him working at the bar every time I come here.
Yeah, plus the bar's elevated a little bit, so I even look normal height back there. But
I guess I would look normal height back there.
Well, you'd be close. But Jake's he's got a lot of passion for the business, and he's I'm not he's not kicking me out yet. I got another. My dad's 90 and still comes to work every morning, so
it's amazing.
So I got a few years left in me, but Jake's got the passion, and hopefully will keep us into another generation.
So you've been in business for over 60 years.
Yeah.
What's the secret behind the success of Sibley Gardens?
Well, I really think it's my staff, and it's because they've been here so long. My kitchen staff, they've been the years that they've been here combined. It's just incredible, really, in this business where there's a lot of turnover. I think if they want to work in the restaurant business, if they want to stay in the restaurant business, if they want to work close to home, if they want the flexibility that we offer here, and don't try to work anybody too much.
Yeah.
I don't have salary people working 60 hours a week, anything like that.
And you hear about that far too often in the restaurant industry.
Yeah, and I think years ago that was the culture, and people have gotten smarter. I mean, they don't want to work that. They don't want to. They want a quality of life too. And we try to give that. We're closed on Sundays except for Mother's Day and Easter Sunday, so that's rare too in the restaurant business to have every Sunday off.
Oh, it absolutely is.
They try to switch the weekends off so they have every other Saturday off if they're working in the kitchen.
Yep. So the big question is, now that you're talking about how wonderful it is to work here, are you hiring?
Well, we're pretty well staffed. We really were pretty solid through the COVID time. It was very, very difficult. I have got to hand it to all my staff and service staff for being in the front line. It was scary times. We didn't know there was no vaccines available, and we didn't know harm's way that we were putting ourselves into. But but when you ask what's the secret, I think the secret is the staff. Hiring right, and the ones that have been here they've got a lot of pride in what they want to do, and so what they're doing, and they want to make sure the new hires learn it right too, because it reflects on them. So I think it's the staff. It's just this is what's expected of you, and if you can do it, great. And if you can add something to what we're already doing, fantastic. So it's not just me. It's not Jake. Not just my dad or even my grandmother. At the time, it's just I think the pride in where they work.
Yeah. So now the moment that everybody's been waiting for, we're going to actually talk about some of the delicious items you have here that people can enjoy when they come to Sibley Gardens in Trenton. So for folks not from downriver, or for anyone who's not sampled or eaten a meal here at Sibley Gardens, tell us about some of these signature dishes that you're best known for.
Probably what we're most known for is for entrees, steak Sammy, which is sliced tenderloin, beef tenderloin sautéed, and
the steak
garlic
Sammy
wine sauce. Yeah, which is named after my dad.
Yeah. And the Sammy Caesar probably too, I would imagine.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
And one of my wife's favorite, goat cheese Napoleon. And I mean, that's nothing I've pretty sure my sister Andrea came up with that entree. She was active in the business for years, and a lot of the things in the menu are things that she created as well. But I've got a fantastic, like people say, Nick, what do you eat? I go, well, since I'm here so much, I like to eat the specials because it's always something different. We do some great things.
Yeah.
Last night I had a pasta with ground veal, and
oh wow,
it was delicious. But it was so big. I said, okay, take it back, give me half, let the staff have the other half so they can enjoy it. But
again, a great place to work.
Yeah,
you share your dinners with your
I
staff.
can't eat as much. It doesn't show, but yeah, just we've got Chef George Sarabian's been here for years. Justin Chabot's been here for years. Super creative. Nick Sarabian can just really put the food out on a busy night.
What kind of seafood options do you guys have here? I know
we've got a lot.
Great salmon
we've got salmon on the menu, perch on the menu. We have scallops. We have cold water lobster tails, but we have usually a couple specials every night. Seafood. We do halibut a lot, swordfish. We have cod on the menu. We have fried shrimp. We have coconut shrimp.
Yeah, swordfish. I mean, where else can you get that? Anywhere else in this area that you're aware
I'm sure
of?
you can. I'm sure halibut when it's good, and halibut's fantastic. We haven't done oysters on the half shell much lately. During COVID, we just kind of stopped that because it was pretty. We'll have to bring those back this fall.
Yeah. What kind of? So I mentioned earlier your. French onion soup is my favorite. I love it. What other kinds of soups do you have?
We usually have 2 soups every day in addition to that, and they kind of change with the day. We have minestrone every day. Then we have another soup du jour. Mondays it's usually a chicken soup. Wednesdays pasta fagioli. Tuesday we don't have a set soup. Fridays we have either New England or Manhattan clam chowder.
Okay.
And that's
I've never tried the Manhattan clam. What's the difference between New England and Manhattan?
New England is a cream base, and Manhattan is red.
Ooh, I'll have to try
sauce.
that.
Yeah,
so
they're both great. Okay. I mean, I probably like the New England better, but But, George makes great New England clam chowder. But I taste everything. Probably the only thing I don't really eat is liver and onions. Which is funny. We took it off the menu just because we weren't selling much of it. But when you find out, so we had it for a special one night, and a friend of mine asked and said, "How come you don't have liver on the menus?" I said, "Well, I just figured everyone that ordered liver moved to Florida by now."
Right.
Kind of insinuating that it was maybe a different generation's food, but
well, I heard the sign of the beef carver's no longer around either. I hear, so.
I was just being funny, but she said I'm still here. So there's some things that when we introduce new menu items, we can't keep everything on the menu. But we'll bring some different things back for some specials.
Excellent. So Nick, one of the things that I like to ask, obviously, with my role as the president of the chamber, is the critical, I think, value that you provide to the community as a local entrepreneur. And you're a member of the chamber, the Southern Wayne County Regional Chamber, and you're very active in a lot of organizations. So I think you'll appreciate this question. So this restaurant is truly a downriver icon since your food, your staff, and the services you engage as a local business are all from this area, the Downriver region. So how important is that locally sourced mindset to your success here at Sibley Gardens?
Yeah, I mean, we use like Williams and Wyandotte. We get our seafood from them.
Oh, okay,
they've really made a lot of things available that they didn't do years ago.
Yeah.
Dave from Williams does a fantastic job. One of our guests owns Noni's Farms, and we get some fresh produce in the summer from him. We get our meat from Fairway Packing. They're fantastic. But you know, we don't grow our own produce or anything. We probably could put a little garden in back, but really we've got enough to do.
You're right next to the railroad tracks.
You know, just more important, it's just like, you know, just this area. I mean, there's great dining here. I mean, you don't have to. And I think people come from the other side of town and they're just like, wow, what a great place. And some people do drive quite a ways to get here.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you about across the street. McLeod Steel was there for decades and decades and decades, and you and Sam have been very involved, I think, in really helping to move that property forward. McLeod Steel has now officially been taken down after many years, and we're hoping that, and we're looking forward to a great developer that's going to be coming into the region eventually and bringing jobs and a strong tax base for Trenton and the entire region. But you as a local business owner, this has impacted you tremendously over the years. What does it mean to you now to see McLeod Steel finally coming down? You can see the river from your property and the future and the optimism that this community has now for that site moving forward. What does that mean to you as a local business owner here?
Well, you know, the first thing I noticed, I'd come in the morning and the sun coming up and everything was brighter.
I know. The sun's shining on Sibley Gardens.
And, you know, it's just, obviously it's a blank slate right now. What could be there? Unfortunately, you know, the years of, you know, an industrial site, homes aren't
you're limited
option.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, if it was designated as a brownfield site and could be cleaned up enough, it's just the cost of cleaning up to make it that.
Right.
But I hope it's something that's viable for the community, something that the community would be, you know, welcome.
Yeah.
And obviously tax base, but it's a mile of waterfront.
Sure, I mean, it's prime property.
Another, you know, you think a city that would have all of a sudden a mile of waterfront, it's pretty, you know, and in between the two bridges, and
absolutely,
it'd be nice if we could do part of that area where people can enjoy the waterfront.
Sure. Yeah, and you know, I know it's going to have a phenomenal impact on Sibley Gardens and the entire Trent community, and I know we're all very excited about the future of that site, and it's right across from Sibley Gardens, so I think there's some great things happening for the community and for Sibley Gardens in the future.
We hope so.
Yeah. Okay, Nick, so we've been talking a little bit about your family. Is there a fifth generation of Puintis waiting in the wings to usher this iconic eatery into another 80 plus years of serving delicious food?
I have 3 daughters, and none of them have chosen. Well, actually, my youngest daughter, Olivia, she just graduated high school, and she...
Trenton High School, or
no? She was actually Flat Rock.
Great. John will like that down in Flat Rock. So
she was a ASD student. She's a autism spectrum disorder. And Flat Rock schools were just fantastic. I mean,
that's great.
The kids down there, they treated her so great, and she's just a wonderful young lady. She's tiny. She's 4'8", and she loves working in the kitchen. I mean, she does a lot of prep work back there, and I go back in the kitchen, she's always got a smile on her face.
Yeah.
She's always learning something different. Chef George is great with her. Nancy Perry has worked with us years ago and just came back recently. All the guys back there, they're really good with her, and she likes to work.
Yeah.
Try to get her out front a little bit, but she just likes being in the kitchen. I just think of my grandmother, who was also like 5 foot tall and small. She would love to see Olivia back there. That was one of her favorite names too, Olivia.
Yeah.
But she would love to see her back
name.
there. So, you know, how far she's going to go in this business, I don't know. My other daughters have got different careers right now.
Okay.
Jake's got a young son, but we'll see. It's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, we'll see. So thanks for hosting us, Nick.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for being with us on the podcast. And Sue and John, I know you're probably extremely hungry right now, which I just did to you with Hungarian Rhapsody, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to turn it back over to you.